This is Me Before Mom, the podcast that helps moms stay connected to themselves while doing the most important job they'll ever have. And I'm your host, Bert Anderson. Hey, this is Bert Anderson, and you are listening to Me Before Mom. The other day, I took my kids to my photographer's studio. It sounds really fancy to say that I have a photographer for my blog, which is firsttimemom.com, in case you were wondering. But she and I kind of trade services, so we can talk about that another time. So I was doing a campaign for a kids clothing company. They gave me a certain amount of money and said, buy your kids some outfits. And they gave me specifications. And so it was one of those situations where, I have a 9-year-old boy who's going to be 9.5 in a few weeks. I have a almost 7-year-old and an almost 4-year-old girl. So I knew that I could, because the whole point of this campaign is for me to write a blog post and talk about the clothes and the outfits that I chose for my children, that I bought for my kids. So it's one of those situations where I'm sitting there and I'm shopping and I'm thinking to myself, do I buy my oldest clothes? Like, does he really want these clothes? And I'm like, well, if I don't get him the clothes, then I think he's going to be disappointed. And he's going to be like, well, how come my sister's got clothes and you didn't get me clothes? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's a good point. I'll just buy you the clothes. So I bought the clothes. I bought him an outfit, just like I bought the other two an outfit, with the understanding that he was going to participate in this photo shoot, which again sounds super fancy, and it's not. Just so you know, it's not like super duper fancy. It's my kids, my photographer Lindsay, and me. We're standing in her studio. The girls are changed into clothes, and my oldest is sitting there refusing to put on this outfit. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. We drove a half hour to this studio, to her house. She's an in-home studio. And now you're not going to participate. You're not going to do this. Like, I chose these clothes for you. I can't believe you're choosing to throw down the gauntlet right now and saying, no, I will not participate in this. I cannot, maybe you can hear it in my voice, how angry. I was so angry. And so I'm like, fine. But your sisters, we are going to go to McDonald's and everybody who participates in the photo shoot is going to get a Happy Meal. And if you don't participate, you can't get one. Nope. You can't get one. And I'm like listening to these words come out of my mouth and I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying this. This is so ridiculous. I bet you're wondering, well, why does it matter? And how do we get to this point? Why does it matter, Bert, that he takes place? Well, the way blogging works is brands hire me. They hire the blogger to showcase a product. So along with being given a gift card to buy clothes, I was also getting paid. That's right. Full disclosure, I get paid to write these blog posts. So the brand in sending and giving me money to purchase these outfits, they pay me to write the story and to showcase my children. It feels very bizarre to say that out loud. But, I started First Time Mom as a way. It was actually called Adventures in Maple Grove with the Andersons. I started it as a way to keep my family up to date on what was happening in my life with my oldest son, because I am not a very crafty person at all. And so I can write, and I have always loved writing. So I was like, I will just document this stuff. And it wasn't until I had been into the whole blogging sphere off and on, casually, for about 2.5 years that I realized, I can make money from this. This is a creative outlet that is feeding a desire that I have and a desire that I've always had to write and to tell stories and to kind of touch people on an emotional level through my writing. I can make money from this. And I never thought that when I started blogging, I didn't do it with the intention of making money. It was a way of keeping my family in touch. But really what was more important with that was it was a way of making me feel like I was a human being still during those very lonely and isolating days as a stay-at-home mom with a young infant. And I was by myself. So once I realized that I could make money doing something that I love, then came the opportunities to do product reviews. And most people, when you tell them that you're a blogger, they immediately think of, oh, you get free product. And in the beginning you do. You get a lot of free product just as a way of getting your name out there and stuff. And since my son, I had a young child at that point. He was almost 2.5. I was pregnant with my second child by the time, I had figured out that I could start making money doing blogging. And so he became an integral part of my blog. And so did my other children as they, came to being. Like when I was pregnant with them, I would review, I reviewed this lovely maternity pillow. That was like the best maternity pillow. I would love to keep it in my bed, but it took up the whole bed. My husband was like, are you kidding me? Like, we have a queen size bed and you're going to like take up an entire bed with this pillow. And I'm like, but it's so lovely. And I'm so god awful pregnant. I was not one of those women who loved being pregnant. I'm just going to tell you that in the beginning. I just hated it. But my kids have always been kind of a big part of the monetization, I guess I would say, of my blog. And it's not in that I am exploiting them or anything, but part of the job of a blogger is to give kind of an unbiased, honest view of, I should say, part of the job of a good blogger, because there are bloggers who just don't care. But part of the job of a good blogger is to give an unbiased view of a product, of a brand. And when you're a mom blogger, which I am, my kids are part of that process. So, let's fast forward 7 years and to the point where I am now, where Adventures in Maple Grove with the Andersons is now called First Time Mom, which is my blog now, firsttimemmn.com. It's called that because whether you have one child or 19, there is a first time for everything. So you are always going to be, experiencing some new aspect of parenting. And so that was kind of my idea, is that, in the back of my mind, I knew that my children would start aging. I knew that my blog was not going to be focused on infancy and pregnancy all the time, because I did not plan on being like a Duggard, and I did not want to have 19 children and counting. So here I am. I've built my blog up to a point now where I am able to monetize it and do what they called sponsored posts. So if you are reading a blog, or even if you're looking at Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you will see that the blogger should, if they're in compliance with the FTC, they should disclose to you right away that they are getting paid for the post. Now, they may do this by saying, this is a partnership with XYZ brand. This, sometimes they say, there's like a hashtag, which if you don't know what that is, that's the pound sign. And then they put AD or ad, hashtag ad. In Instagram, you have to put that within the first 3 lines of your post. So it shows, so that you, the person who's following, the consumer, understands that there is some type of trade that's happening. There is a partnership that is benefiting each other. So the FTC, which is also known, and their official name is the Federal Trade Commission, they, their job is to make sure that, we all know that when we watch an ad on the television that, there was money and stuff that went into that process. And the same thing goes with blogging. It is a form now of marketing, advertising, which is called influencer marketing. So technically, I am an influencer. And so are all the other bloggers and Instagrammers that you follow out there that have figured out how to do this and make a living off of it. So that's a little side note on monetization and all that good stuff, and how you can figure out whether or not you actually, want to try a product that somebody is telling you about. Look for that disclaimer. Like, what did they receive in return for that blog, especially if they're a big blog? If they're in compliance with the Federal Trade Commission, they should disclose that before you even read their article. That you should know. Anyways, so we're at the point now where I've done campaigns, I've gotten paid. My oldest has understood the process now because he's watched me blog, and he's been able to do things like he, has been able to get toys in exchange for him letting me take pictures of him playing with the toys. He's also been able to go to movies early. A lot of local PR firms work with the different movie studios, and they do advanced screenings for press and media. And a blog counts in press or media. So he gets it. He understands it. So when we were standing around, and I'm trying to bribe him with a McDonald's Happy Meal to take a picture. Every time I say that, I think, oh my gosh, this is just so silly. We came to this crossroads where I could see the look in his eyes. I knew that there was something going on where he was like, I don't have to do this. And I didn't force him to do it. But I did say to him, like, look, this is what I've said. I've said, if you guys cooperate and you take these pictures, then you'll get a McDonald's Happy Meal. And so he did, and he did take the photo. And then we talked afterwards, and I was like, are you done? Or are you done, being part of these photo shoots? And he was like, yeah, I think I'm done. And that is something that I completely respect because he knows and he sees how many followers that I have on Instagram. He sees, the Facebook Lives that I do. He participates in them, actually. He and I did a Facebook Live together, which was totally fun, where we talked about all of the Disney films that Disney was releasing in the next year. And I just let him do it. And he loved that. He would still, anytime I let him use my Facebook Live, he enjoys it. There's something about being a model and posing that's just not him. Actually, before I recorded this podcast, I said to him, like, hey, I think I'm going to talk about this. What do you think about it? And he's like, and we talked about it a little bit, and he was like, okay, so this is what you're going to do? And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's dependent on you. Like, if you don't want me to, like, that's totally fine. I will think of another way to explain this and talk about this. But if you're okay with it, then I'll talk about it. And he was like, yeah, I think I'm okay with that. So blogger kids, they grow out of it. And that is the point that I'm at. There's a little part of me that's sad because I started this blog when he was a baby and it was very innocent. And now it's he was the catalyst for me finding a way to do what I love and also contribute to my family financially, which, when you are a stay-at-home mom, which I was for a good year and a half, 2 years, there's a lot of empowerment that you have to be able to say, like, I brought this in, like, this is something that I've done. And so that was empowering. So now here we are at the crossroads almost 9.5 years later. I suppose by the time you guys listen to this, he's going to be closer to being 10 than 9. But he does not want to participate in photo shoots. And I'm not going to make him, because it's something that as a blogger kid, they grow up with this. They understand when packages arrive at the door, not to open them, because maybe we're going to do an unboxing video. I don't know. They understand not to take toys out of packages, because mom needs to take a picture of the package. They understand when we are eating at a restaurant that I might want to take a photo for Instagram, especially if we happen to be on a trip or doing something where I'm covering it for my blog. I need to document things, and they get that. And so it's just kind of just how, a doctor's kid grows up having a doctor. As a parent, a blogger kid has a parent who is an influencer and a blogger. And so I don't think it's they don't know any different, and it doesn't seem weird to them. But, as they age, I feel like you have to kind of let go of forcing them into doing what they want. It's a very fine line when I think about it. It's interesting. So there's a little part, it's bittersweet. He's moving on. They all move on, don't they? They all move on. You cannot, I don't know how many times I say it, but you cannot put your identity and your worth on in your role as it relates to your children, because your children grow up and they move on, and where are you going to be after that? So you might be wondering, like, okay, well, what are you going to do when all of your kids grow up? What if they don't want to have anything to do with your blog anymore? That is why I have kind of found a voice in First Time Mom that it is focused on the mom. It's focused on you. It's not really focused on the kids. It's focused on making moms feel empowered to remember who they were before they had kids. Because I feel like, especially in today's culture, there's this badge of motherhood that we all wear, and we feel like we have to be extremely self-sacrificing and just kind of let ourselves go and forget ourselves. But then it's like, what happens after that? What do we do when our kids are done with us? It's a question that you have to ask. So First Time Mom will always be there. It'll always stay. Maybe it might not be called First Time Mom forever, but the heart of it is focused on you, the mom. It's focused on me and my journey and just the things that I have learned. So I have had to learn through this to be kind to myself, not question the decisions that I have made. I feel like I have done a good job of not exploiting my children, but we'll see. Time will tell when they look back. I don't think they're going to be too mad at anything that I put out there. But I think that's something we all have to ask ourselves when we are putting our children out there on the internet, on our social media channels. It's something to think about for sure. But I'm kind to myself. I kind of give myself a little bit of a break, and you should give yourself a break too. So be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up too much, okay? That's all we have. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to connect with me on bertmanderson.com, and please visit our website, matriarchdm.com, for all of the show notes and to hear other awesome podcasts.